Hello everybody, my name is Mario Hernandez and I am the head of learning at Mediacurrent. Today I'm going to show you how to use the theme generator, which is a tool that we here at Mediacurrent have put together to quickly create Drupal 8 themes with Pattern Lab already integrated and other front-end tools like Node.js, Gulp, linters, file compression, and browser sync. If you go to github.com/mediacurrent, you will find our theme generator repo. There's all sorts of information here for you to read more about the theme generator if you want to learn more about it. The requirements to install and use the theme generator is for you to have Node.js and npm installed. You can either install it using the software package here at nodejs.org. Find the one for your respective operating system. Make sure that you install the LTS version of that, which is the latest stable version of Node, and that also includes npm. Or, as we recommend, you can use MVM to install Node.js and npm. Either way will work. So let's create our first Drupal 8 theme. As you can see here, it's recommended that you create a new directory in your theme's custom directory in your Drupal site. I've opened my command line and I've navigated to one of my Drupal 8 sites that I have for training purposes, and I'm inside the web themes custom directory. Again, if you don't have a custom directory, you can either create it or just add your new directory inside themes. I'm going to create a new directory here called my new theme, separated by underscores. Now I'm going to navigate into that new directory. Now that I'm inside my new theme directory, I can start running the theme generator. The first command is to install the latest and stable version of Node. This one tells me that version 13.12 is already installed, which I ran this before, but if you don't have that version, it will install it for you, and it will set this project to use that version by creating a new file in your root here, which is a hidden file. It's called .mvmrc, and that file shows you the version of Node that your project will be using. The next command is to run npm create your mcda theme. This could take a few minutes depending on your computer and your Wi-Fi speed. Now we are prompted with a human readable name for our theme. For now, I'm going to just take the default, which is my new theme. I'm going to press return here. And now it's asking me for the machine name of my theme. This name should always match the directory that you created on the first step. I'm going to type a quick description for my theme. And I'm going to pick one of two base themes from Drupal core. I typically use stable, but you're welcome to use classy if you like. Here I'm going to ignore the content of the this directory just to make things easier when we commit code. You can learn more about how Pattern Lab uses Cache Buster to append a random generated numeric value to your style sheets so that there is no cache issues when you're loading your components in Pattern Lab. Our theme generator comes with several custom and sample components that you can choose from. I'm going to select all of this. And you do that by pressing the spacebar next to each component and then moving the arrow down key to move on to the next item. I've selected all the components. I'm going to press return now. And now the theme generator will start building our new theme using all the components that we selected along with other pre-configuration that we typically do on our theme. This process could take a couple minutes to run, so just give it some time. Our new theme has been created, and now we can start looking and working with that. If you run into any issues, feel free to submit an issue to our GitHub page or GitHub repo so that we can address those issues. A lot of the things that you see here may be just warnings, so I wouldn't worry so much about those. Those are just perhaps node-related warnings, things that will never make it to a production server. They're just for development purposes. But so far, we have not found that those issues really affect any functionality of the theme generator. The first command I need to run just to make sure that I install all the dependencies is I'm going to run npm install. This command will run and look at our package.json file located in the root of our theme to see which dependencies this particular theme needs, and it will go ahead and install those dependencies. Now I'm going to run npm run build so that we can build and compile all the code in our theme, and that will generate all the components that we selected during the installation. And next, I'm going to run a watch task so that we can see what we get directly in Pattern Lab. At the end of the watch task, we can click this localhost 3000 URL. And we see that this is our homepage for Pattern Lab. We have all the components that we selected during the installation with very, very minimum styles, just because we understand that most people will style those components differently every time. So we don't want to be opinionated or telling you how to do or style things. That is something that you will obviously do on your own. You can see that things are working nicely. Under components, you should find all those components that we created, and this is where all new components you create will also show up. We don't necessarily use atoms or molecules or organisms. We just group everything under components. Now let's take a look at how our theme looks in our code editor. I'm going to stop my watch task, Control C. And I use VS Code as my editor, so I'm going to run code. That means I want to open this project in my editor. And here is our new theme. First, let's go over some of these files. As you can see, this is the package.json file that I was talking about before, where if you scroll to the bottom, you can see all the different dependencies that this theme uses. You can read more about those. We have our info file, which is basically the most important file in our theme, any Drupal theme. And here's where we see all the different values that we enter when we create our theme. This theme uses the component libraries module, Drupal module. So be sure to install that if you are running this on a Drupal site, so that when you integrate components with Drupal, you will not get errors indicating that the component does not exist. And due to the component libraries module is how we can create namespaces for our theme. So our theme namespace will be my new theme, and this is the namespace we'll use when we try to include components in our Twig templates. We have a breakpoints file for different breakpoints. We have our theme for preprocess function and hooks. This is a gulp file which runs all the other different independent gulp tasks that you can find under gulp tasks. And this is basically how all the automation is done in this particular theme. This is how we're able to compile code, compress images, lint code, run concatenation, and a few other tasks. Our Pattern Lab is where all the Pattern Lab content is compiled into, and this is what Drupal will look at for rendering some of that information. All your work is going to be done inside the source, patterns, components. This is where you will find all the components we selected when we installed and created our new theme. And this is where you will be creating new components as well. There's some basic global styles that are available. So this is what the theme looks like, and this is how Pattern Lab and everything else is already integrated with it. I'm going to show you now how to create new components. You can certainly create your components by hand, by manually creating those files. If we open one of those components, the card, for example, You can see that we have a data file, a JSON file in this case, and we have our twig template for all of our logic and markup. So you can certainly create these files by hand, but there's an advantage of using the theme generator to create the components for you, and let me show you that now. Back in the generator GitHub page, we can see that if you run npm run generate, this will allow you to create new components, and it will allow you to create the respective libraries, Drupal libraries for your components, and even attach them to your components. So this is a big help. Let's run this command now so we can see this in action. So I'm going to run npm run generate. The first prompt is asking me for my machine name of my theme. So by default, it's using the directory name that we have. And then it's asking me, what component do you want to create? Let's say I want to create a header component. And it's asking me, does this component need a JavaScript behavior, a Drupal behavior? I'm going to say yes. If you choose no, and later you realize that you do need a JavaScript behavior, then you can come back, run the same command again, type the same component name, and tell it to add a JavaScript behavior file. The generator is smart enough to know that the component already exists and is only going to add the JavaScript file to your component. So there is a new header component has been created. If we look at this in our code editor, here is our header component, and you can see that there are 4 files in there. Our JSON file. Obviously, the generator doesn't know what fields you need for your component, right? So it just gives you some basic couple fields for you to start with. Here is our twig template. Notice that there is an attach. Notice that there's an attach library statement here, and is attaching our header library. We didn't create that header library, but the theme generator did it for us, and I'll show you in a minute what that looks like. But what I like about this is that if we do create a JavaScript behavior, the generator allows us to create the starting block for that behavior. So let's take a look at the library that the generator also created for us. If you scroll to the bottom of our libraries file, you will see that we have a header library that the generator created for us. So the header library includes a CSS style sheet and also a JavaScript file. In addition to is adding dependencies for Drupal settings and jQuery from core so that these scripts can run. So again, the attached library is very handy. You want to attach your library to your component so that every time you use that component, that library is available for you in Drupal. A couple of components that I wanted to mention are the messages and tabs. These are Drupal specific components that we are including as part of our theme generator. The nice thing about selecting those 2 components is that these are automatically integrated with Drupal. So when you open your Drupal site, you will see the messages feature in Drupal, the ones that you see when you normally save a node or you get an error message, that will be pre-integrated with the new component that we have here. In addition to the Drupal tabs, the ones that you normally see when you edit, view, revisions, those kind of tabs that you see on top of node pages. Let's take a look at the templates that are included with those components. Under messages, you can see that Drupal or the theme generator copy this template from core, and it pre-integrated our messages component so that it is available in Drupal. The same thing for the tabs component. It copied the necessary templates and it automatically integrated that with our Drupal component so that we can see those tabs in Drupal. Let's take a look at those. Inside my appearance page, I can see at the bottom that I have an uninstalled themes. So in here, I can see my new theme. I'm going to install and set it as default. And now I'm going to go to the home page. This is just a simple website, so the content is really not relevant. So you can see the theme doesn't look like much, but that's because obviously this is something that you will style your uh, liking. And here we are. We have these are the tabs that I was mentioning about. These are the ones that were pre-integrated with Drupal. Typically, when you create a new theme, these tabs look just like what you see here. There's no styles, no organization at all. But this makes it nice to have at least basic style tabs to start with. I'm going to edit this for now, and I'm going to save it. And the green message that you see here is also that other component that we selected, the messages component. So it's already pre-integrated with Drupal. So at least you get those basic styles for your theme. Well, that's it. I hope that you find this useful. I hope that you can use this on your next Drupal 8 project.